Ready? Okay, we're done. So, raise your hand if which groups thinks it is specialist. Mossy is specialist. Groups 1, groups 2, and groups 4. Okay, please raise your hand if you think he's an innovator. Okay, well then, so no one thinks he's a completer. Okay, so correct answer is specialist. So, I'm going to give you points. 1, 2, and 4. Awesome, okay. Next up is Alexa with the next character.
So our next character that we will be looking at is Diana. She is an FBI agent. A couple of characteristics about Diana is, first of all, she is an extrovert, which means she focuses outwardly. Also, she is very direct in all of her conversations, as well as tough-minded and goal-oriented. So the example from this episode, you will be choosing from innovator, implementer, or resource investigator. And the example from the episode is she is assigned to a role in the group, and Neil tells her that it's her job to spook Bilal, who is a smuggler who's also helping Larson. So in order to spook him, Diana agrees confidently that she can in fact scare him. Neil responds by saying, "I know," as he's kind of seen her intimidating attitude beforehand. So when Diana actually confronts Bilal, she is able to stand her ground and she threatens to confiscate his yacht. She then walks away, and we see that she is in fact successful because Bilal immediately grabs for his phone just as the group had hoped. So based on this example, do you believe she is the innovator, an implementer, or the resource investigator? You have 20 seconds to deliberate and use the sheet of paper to help you guys out.
Okay. Do you think? I didn't read them, so I don't know. It's hard to make a decision quickly.
I don't know if they're yeah, 4 seems pretty confident. I'm gonna go with them.
Okay, you guys ready? Okay, so raise your hand if you think that Diana is the innovator. Okay, raise your hand if you think she's an implementer. Okay, and raise your hand if you think she's the resource investigator. Okay. So the correct answer in this case is the implementer. And she is the implementer because she is able to walk her talk. So she says that she can in fact scare Bilal, and we see that she really goes above and beyond and is able to do that. So that's group 1 and group 2. I had split answers from group 3. The next character I'll also be looking at is Jones. He is also an FBI agent. So some of his characteristics are, he is also an extrovert, so he focuses outwardly. However, he differs from Diana in that he's very detail-oriented, and that goes along with making him a censor. So a censor is somebody who really focuses on the facts and likes details. Also, he is very much a team player. So the 3 that you'll get to choose from for Jones is between coordinator, resource investigator, and the completer finisher. So in this example, he is the very first person that is supposed to get the operation off the ground and start it in motion. With that in mind, he is very aware of the deadline that is present. In the scene, he is able to quickly install the transmitter into the payphone, and he makes it back to the FBI headquarters right on time so that he's able to prepare for his final role in the group at the end of the operation. So, based on that short example, what role do you think Jones embodies? You guys have 20 seconds to deliberate.
I would say the completer.
Completer?
Yeah.
That's what you think. I'm not
The completer. Yeah.
It makes sense to be.
Okay, are you guys ready? Okay, so one person from each group, raise your hand if you believe he is the coordinator. Okay. Raise your hand if you believe he is the resource investigator. And raise your hand if you think he's the completer finisher. 3 and 4. So the correct answer is the completer and finisher, and that is because he is very aware of the time. So being the very detail-oriented person that he is, time is a huge factor. So he's always about getting things done in a timely manner so that he's able to move on to the next thing. So that was 1, 3, and 4.
Yes, we're way
Okay,
ahead.
so the fourth character we will be looking at, who's a member of the verse 6, is Peter.
Okay, so Peter is an FBI agent and the head of the investigative team of the Manhattan White Collar Division. Some of the characteristics that describe him are self-disciplined, determined, trustworthy, optimistic, and by the book, which means that he likes to follow the rules and do things legally or the right way. He's also an honest, hardworking man who's very committed to his job. An example that shows his role within the group is when all the members of the group gather at his house to discuss the plan of how they're going to catch Larson, which is the guy that framed him and caused him to get his badge taken away. He's the one who starts the conversation and keeps the discussion going. He gives a very clear and detailed explanation of his plan. He tells each member of the group exactly what their role is, and he tells them that it is extremely important that they know exactly what to do or the whole plan could fail. So based off of these characteristics and this example, which one of Belden's roles do you guys think best describes Peter? Coordinator / chairperson, specialist, or innovator?
We gotta look and see.
Oh, snap.
Who's in it?
Let's see that again.
No.
No.
Yeah,
Okay.
right. Okay. This is-
Okay, time's up. How many of you guys think Peter is a coordinator / chairperson? So everyone. Okay, yeah, the correct answer is coordinator / chairperson.
Yeah.
So the next character we will be looking at is Neil Caffrey.
Yes.
So the character I focused on in this episode of White Collar is Neil Caffrey. Neil Caffrey seemed to be very clever. As an ex-con man, he's able to relate to Larson in the sense that he can predict Larson's next move before he even does it, coming from his personal experience. He is also very sociable. When going around the city trying to gather up his contacts, he's seen as being very sociable because he knows so many people and he's trying to get everybody that he knows together to try to come up with a plan to get Larson. Lastly, Neil Caffrey is also very extroverted, since that he is not closed off and he's very open with everybody, trying to tell everybody his ideas, and with everybody he talks to, he's very charming and make sure that everybody knows that. So now, you guys will have 20 seconds to figure out which one of these 3 Velveteen roles he fits into.
It's definitely this one, right?
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
he's,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
he would, that would make sense.
Yep.
Because,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
he fits like the first
It's
couple.
about 10
Yeah,
more
don't see it.
seconds.
Oh, sorry.
So he's the, I think he's got right there. Just that one. Yeah.
Wait, time's
Did you
up.
see it?
Which group thinks he is an innovator? Whose group thinks he's an implementer? And now a resource investigator. That is correct. He is a resource investigator. Now we'll have Martin explaining the next character in the White Collar.
So in this game, I will be discussing Sarah and her traits, which will then be used to guess the type of role she plays within her group. First of all, Sarah is an expert in her field, resourceful, reliable, and confident, and creative, as in she thinks outside the box. An example where many of these traits were present was when the plan to trick Bilal, the bad guy, into getting set up went into effect, and Sarah used her specialized equipment to manipulate Neil's voice into Larson's voice, and tell Bilal to meet him in a location where he can then be forced to bargain with the group. Without her contribution, the whole operation could have not has gone as well as it did. So based on this example, which Belvin team role do you believe is the most appropriate to categorize her in? Do you believe she is an innovator, a completer / finisher, or resource investigator? You will have 20 seconds to decide with your groups.
You think the innovator? Oh, yeah. Either that or the completer finisher. Come on, we need to decide between innovator.
Okay, decide right now.
Okay.
I don't know which one to innovator.
Are you guys ready?
Yeah,
Okay,
sure.
so who believes
I don't know.
Sarah's the innovator?
Okay, that's a good sign.
So basically everyone. So yeah, she's the innovator as she portrays and creates totally new and creative ideas which may seem unorthodox and outside the box. Another important part of the group is the developing stage, is introduced by Tuckman.
Go get your donuts hot. So like groups, like individuals, groups also have development stages in which they go through throughout their time. And this process is called the Tuckman's Group Development Stages, brought to you by Bruce W. Tuckman. So there are 5 main stages of this development. There's forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. Today I'm going to be talking to you about the forming stage. So during this stage, it gets a little awkward and members of the group feel they kind of need to put up a fake personality with like everybody to make sure, everybody's nice. And so during this stage, members also test personal relationships and see which kind of behaviors are okay and not okay within their groups. And although a little bit happens during this forming stage, it's really necessary to get to know one another, get to know the rhythm of their group. Now, Alexa will be talking to you about the next forming stages.
So the second stage in Tuckman's group development stages is the norming stage, or the storming stage. The storming stage is defined when groups openly disagree with one another and they compete for status among each other. So generally, the conflict cohesion dialectic and the leadership fellowship dialectic are 2 of the issues that are brought up and really experienced and addressed during this stage. So one instance when the group experienced the storming stage is when Peter and Neil were openly discussing their different methods on how to appropriately catch Larson. We have Peter on one side who really was looking to do things completely legally by the book and not break any rules, whereas Neil doesn't have the same limitations that Peter does. So he sees that the main point is to get what he wants in the end. So if he has to do things legally or illegally, that doesn't matter to him. This second stage ends when Peter and Neil really come to a compromise. So the compromise is that they will do the operation Neil's way, but with Peter's rule. So they will still keep it legal. And then that really compromise brings us into the third stage, which is the norming stage. So in the norming stage, members begin to resolve status conflicts as well as establish norms with one another. More balance is usually attained in this stage, and rules of engagement, risk requirements, and membership characteristics are also set up. An example of this is how the group approaches resolving their conflicts. So both Neil and Peter resolved their conflict, as well as there was a conflict between Peter, Diana, and Jones. And both of those sets of groups or the individuals resolved that conflict before they met as a collective group to discuss the operation details. So because of that, they were able to really engage with one another. They were able to focus on the task at hand and really listen to one another and collaborate collectively. So this ultimately set the group up to be more efficient and successful as they were able to come together as one and work on their group goal. The third stage, or the fourth stage in Tuckman's group development theory we'll be looking at is the performing stage.
So in the performing stage, members assume appropriate roles and work productively. Team members at this point are fully focused on achieving the group's goals and are past the stages of competitiveness and instability. An example of the performing stage within the Burke 6 episode is in the scene when the plan to trick the law into a setup goes into effect, which includes Mozzie disrupting the phone signal, Joe's planning the transmitter on the phone booth, Dinah threatening Bilal based on his illegal activities, causing him to use a bugged phone booth, Neil disguising his voice as Larson over the phone with Bilal, and Sarah using her voice modulation system in order to replicate Larson's voice and fool Bilal. These roles coincide with the performing stage as they all occur at the same time and were dependent on each other in order to successfully trick Bilal into the setup. And the fifth stage is the adjourning stage, and is the final stage within Tuckman's group development stages. So in this stage, members disengage and relinquish responsibilities. This part of Tuckman's stages is basically when the group has achieved its goals and its reasons for sticking together are completed, which in turn causes the group to disassemble. So an example of the adjourning stage would be in the final scenario of the Burke 6 episode where the group is together after Peter catches Larson when he attempted to escape. And Peter disbands the Burke 6 group after Neil made a sarcastic comment about furthering their activities with the Burke 6. This disbandment of the group clearly represents the adjourning stage, as it features the breakup of the group as it was no longer necessary once Larson